Money, money is good. That's how we acquire more assets, but it can ruin your life.
Hey, welcome to the Bright Business Podcast. Thanks for joining in. I have an awesome special guest here today. We have Ezra from Equitable Builds.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
That is correct.
Yes,
You
perfect.
did it.
From Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I'm just excited to share his story. He's doing some incredible stuff in the real estate industry here in central Pennsylvania. And I'm just excited to hear his story. So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
Ezra, tell us about you.
Perfect. Well, first of all, thank you for the invite to be on your podcast. I very much appreciate it. I'm honored to be here and to see your studio and to see your headquarters here. So
awesome.
But yeah, a little bit about me. I am 23 years old. I started my business when I was 19, and I bought my first house when I was 19. And through that, I find it really important that you find a mission when you establish something. You don't want to go through life or have a business and not really have a mission or a purpose of why you're starting the business. So for me, when I got started, I needed a purpose, a goal, and a mission to do what I want to do. So a little bit about backstory. I grew up Amish. So I don't know if you knew that, but I grew up Amish. And so at 17, I left the Amish. And then 18, I did a DTS with YWAM. And then 19, I came back, bought my first house, started my business. And then I continued to grow my business.
Yeah. So DTS with YWAM. So for those that don't know, can you share what that is?
Yeah. So DTS is Discipleship Training School, Youth with a Mission, YWAM. And so basically it's a 6-month gap year term. You can go out. There's YWAM bases all throughout America, all throughout the country. I went to Australia, and it was an experience. I got to travel the world a little bit. I got to see Papua New Guinea, Sri Lanka. I went to Sri Lanka and Papua New Guinea on outreach.
Nice.
And never been to a third world nation, but I got to experience that, and it made me appreciate the things we have back here. Made me appreciate my family because I was gone for 6 months. So there's a lot of different things that makes you appreciate by doing that. And I did it early on. So for me to go early on, I didn't now I haven't traveled since then out of the country. So it was I did it at the right timing, and then I'm running my business and start getting established. So I couldn't just leave. But I feel that was a great time is find that moment to go, find that gap and go and do it. Whether it's with friends or with the church or with YWAM or any mission really. So,
right. I'd imagine those were formidable years for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a young person going overseas and just experiencing what other people have to go through in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I learned a lot about myself in those seasons, more about God and His character.
Yeah.
I was young, and I was hungry, and I wanted to learn more, and that kind of set me up for for my future. So,
yeah. And that's so important to talk about and to identify, because what I found is that those years that really formed who you are, it really impact how you run your business now.
Yeah.
Are you finding that to be true with your business?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Because if I wouldn't have went and just started my business, I really wouldn't have had. I don't think I would have had a mission or a vision or a purpose, because I found my purpose. And people say all the time, well, especially if you go to a missionary school or YWAM, a lot of times they're like, oh, you need to come back and serve, and this is how you can, serve the Lord. But you don't have to go overseas. You don't have to. You can be right here in Harrisburg, and you can be serving the Lord. You can run a business and serve the Lord. You can be in politics and serve the Lord. But find what's a fear that you're passionate about, and do everything you can to make a better impact in the world and bring transformation, whether that's through, media, whether it's through real estate, business, providing the best service you can, doing everything with excellence. We're not perfect, and we're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We don't, starting a business, you learn a lot of stuff,
right?
And you don't just have everything set or planned when you start your business. So things go wrong, but that's where you learn from your mistakes and grow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's so much packed in there, because failing is part of the process.
Yep. And you got to be okay with failure. You know,
Yeah.
like for me, wasn't okay with failure when I first got started. And so I didn't put stuff out on social media. I didn't record. I didn't put stories out because my thought was, if I fail and I do all this, everyone sees it. The more I record, the more I post, the more people know what I'm doing. So now if I fail, everyone's going to see it and it's going to hurt my ego. But at the end of the day, you know, we shouldn't have an ego anyway. And it's like I could learn a lot from that situation if I fail. And so I was like, 2 years ago, probably, it's like when I decided I don't care about what people think or if I fail or X, Y, and Z, because like everyone fails at one point.
Yeah.
You know, most successful people failed at something, whether it was small, larger scale, you know, millions of dollars or thousands of dollars. You know, some people might have lost millions and millions, but they, you know, started up again and did something else and figured out how to do it and navigated that.
Let's talk about that, because failure, like you said, part of the process, part of the growing pains. And when you have failed, which I'm sure you have stories of your own, and I watch you on social media. And by the way, I want to hear more about your business so our viewers can learn about what you do. Yeah. But I see you on social media. You're doing walkthroughs of your homes that you're renovating. Seems like you're killing it out there in the market. But I'm sure there were failures that basically helped you get to the point you're at now. Yeah. Do you have any stories of failures that basically helped you grow to where you're at now? Yeah.
I would say, significant failures, throughout growing a business and growing a team of people, there's a lot of things, you know, navigating your own process of like for hiring people and firing people and figuring out who's the right person for your team. Yeah. That's been the most challenging for me, is like, you know, I want to hire all the people I can, but at the same time, you got to be careful who you hire. Yeah. And everything I've done, I had no experience in. So like I'm hiring people, I never did it before and I failed at it. Like I hired the wrong person and then I had to fire him. You know, it's like those are things that are challenging. And that's the worst thing about my job is hiring and firing. Like, you know, but in order to grow and scale a business, you need to hire people, you need to let go, you need to fire people occasionally. I mean, you don't want to, but if they're corrupt or like they can corrupt and ruin your whole business. Yeah. One person, if you don't, you know, teach them, educate them, or, you know, try to hire them right. That's ultimately the key factor, is hiring them right. Absolutely. But growing my business in real estate, we're in, and when I first got started, you know, I underestimated jobs. When I first got started, I did all the work myself, right? So it was just me and then a helper, and then I kept hiring people and learning how to do it because I had no experience. You know, 19 years old, starting a business. I only had 19 years of life experience to start with. So like I never got fired from my own job that I was at. So like I had one like major job, and stayed there till I left. And so it was like I didn't have much experience. Never was a manager, or, you know, all those things where you got to, you know, like fire people, hire people, and do those things. Yeah. So the biggest thing is, you know, I've failed at hiring. That you got to be strategic and you got to have the right people behind you for that process. Yeah,
but you said earlier being okay with failing. I know for me, it's crazy because no matter where you are in business, it's typically new grounds for you. Yeah, you know, I mean, I look at it every day and I'm like, okay, where are we going today? Yeah, like what level are we going to? And regardless of where we go, it's always new landscape. Yeah. It's a new juncture in our business that we've never been at before. And it could be scary, it could be stressful. Yeah. It can add a lot of weight on your shoulders. Yeah. But when you're okay with failing, it releases that pressure, or at least I found, releases that pressure from having to be perfect in every decision. Because having grace on yourself. You haven't been here before.
Yeah.
This is a new crossroads for your business.
Yeah.
You don't know whether to go left or go right, or, to hire this person. You just have to, trial by error,
Yeah.
and continue to go and learn.
And you got to be okay with failure. Like you said, like,
Yeah.
what's that person going to think of me because I failed in this area of my business, or
Yeah.
I started this and I failed and these people think this. It doesn't, like, you shouldn't care at all.
Yeah.
And that's like, you need to just like give yourself the grace. And if you do that, it almost allows you to like just take like 10x it basically, because you can you have confidence. And then the key factor in like even doing sales or anything is being confident in what you're selling, being confident in who you are.
Right.
And like in anything really, like if you're telling your story to somebody, you need to be confident in who you are, and people can see that, if you're confident and if you know. So
Yeah, I don't know if you know this about me, but I started a mobile car detailing business about 8 years ago. That was one of my first businesses, a car detailing.
So-
And it was called Extreme Clean Mobile Detail.
yeah.
And so I outfitted
How
a
many
van.
years ago was that?
That was about 8 years ago.
8 years.
Yeah, my very first business. I was an EMT, came out of doing that and started this business. I bought this old junky GMC van, and I got it wrapped with my logo. I got a generator and a tank for water and everything. And I did that for about 4 years.
Was it a team or just you?
It was me at first, but we grew it to a team, and we were doing. We were working at golf courses, and we were going to dealerships and going to offices and whatnot. But I look back at that business, and for the first couple of years being out of it, I thought of it kind of as a failure, like a failed business, because it's not open right now.
Yeah.
But I look back at that time in that business, and I'm like, man, I'm so thankful for that time. I got maybe 90%, maybe less of my mistakes out of the way in that business.
Yeah.
I learned what not to do with hiring, learned what not to do with quoting, how to deal with unhappy customers,
Yeah.
and, learned the concept of true customer service. So I look at that time now, I was like, man, God, I'm just so thankful you allowed me to go through all that, because now in this business, I don't have to do, now we're still making some mistakes. We're not perfect, but we're definitely a lot more experienced and wisdom filled now.
Yeah. And how old are you?
I just turned 40.
40.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So
You had refresh how long now?
We've had refresh. We just landed on our 5th birthday.
Awesome.
So we're like toddlers in the, or just above the toddler stage in business world.
So this is kind of a bit off topic, but
Yeah.
you said 5th birthday. So when you did life centers, like at the beginning of
That was one of our first, Life Center
that's awesome.
in Harrisburg, PA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was one of our first projects, which I was excited to get to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us what your business does now. What are you focusing on? Where are you going in the future?
Yeah. So at Equitable, our mission is to renovate and restore cities. So really the reason, and we had someone help us gather this information out of me and my admin to what is our business? What do we want to do? And and this was multiple years ago, but when we figured out, I want to transform Harrisburg.
I love that.
And that's what I want to see. And I believe it can be done in my lifetime. And it's after that, what if I want to pass my business down to my kids or pass it down to somebody, what's their mission going to be? So why, when we thought of it, was what renovate and restore cities. So it could be every city throughout America, that can go for generations and generations and generations. So that's what we do at Equitable.
Yeah.
It's, renovating, restoring houses, doing interior remodeling, exterior facade work, restoring the facade, if it's an historic district, restoring the facade. And we do that for our own investment properties and also for other clients. And our main focus is Harrisburg, but we'll do work for anybody in central PA area. So we don't just work in Harrisburg, but primarily our focus is Harrisburg and trying to acquire the right assets or the distressed properties in the city, strategically block per block, or kind of trying to make a big impact in one area.
Yeah.
If you can stick to one block or move block by block or buy a few houses at this block and a few houses in that. Whatever comes up, always taking every opportunity and, doing your due diligence and like, hey, this is going to make sense.
Right.
This distressed property, there's 4 on this block. We can buy all 4 of them. Things like that. So that's what we want to, that's what our goal is. And of course, with that comes, we need a lot more funding, hard money and other things. We need resources. We need teams. We need more people on our team,
right?
To do all those things. So, growing our business, but also doing work for other clients to help increase our cash flow. Because ultimately, we're for profit and our business is based off of cash flow.
Right.
And, starting a business at a young age, my biggest thought process was if I fail, it would be financially, because if you don't manage it right, you don't manage your finances right, and you don't bid your jobs right or quote them right, and you have to pay or something goes wrong, it's like managing your finances is key into running a business. And so if you can, you gotta, like, especially if you're over leveraging yourself a lot of times, like we are, like I do, because I want to continue to grow, and if you want to continue to grow, it takes resources. It takes funding, and it takes, you need to hire this person and that person before you even make money. And so you need to like strategically plan your cash flow out so that way you can stay in business. Cause
I mean, it's tough to project out how long projects will take sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you're over leveraged, you still have to pay your guys out.
Yeah.
You're still paying holding cost, money cost.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that you have multiple projects going on at the same time.
Yeah, right now we have about 6 projects going on.
Wow.
So two of the projects are for Equitable. They own the properties, and the rest are for clients. So like I said earlier, we're probably doing like 60% this year is for clients,
right?
And the remaining is going to be for our investments. And it depends on what opportunities come our way. If there's like 10 good opportunities that are like amazing deals that are under market value and that are distressed, and we can, we run the numbers and it makes sense, and we're able to make if we like 40% of the loan value, we basically do a cash out refi, we make decent amount of money. So it's like, you got to figure out, like, you don't want to just buy a property it's distressed and be like 100,000. Well, in Harrisburg, different for every area,
right.
But if Harrisburg, you're like, oh, it's a distressed property, it needs a lot of work, and it's $100,000. That's cheap, right? In some areas, people are like, $100,000 for a house. That's very cheap. But don't buy that. If it's distressed here in Harrisburg, got to be like 65 or 55 or 70, somewhere around there, in order for it to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got to, every area is different. So if you're in Harrisburg, you need to know your area.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine how tough it is to balance the books with 6 different projects, because there's basically 6 different P&Ls for 6 different houses.
Yeah.
And just to manage the incoming funds, the outgoing funds, paying your contractors. Yeah. How do you manage the funds for all of that? Like, do you use any special softwares or tools, or do you have somebody that helps you with that?
Yeah. So for estimating, we use JobTread, which is a construction software.
Okay.
And that's how we send out our proposals and estimates and invoices. And then for accounting, we use QuickBooks. And then for like each week, my admin, she puts everything, all the accounts payable on a spreadsheet, and then she sends it to me, and then I approve it. So I'm able to see like every week, and then she adds like for our invoices. So if they're due, like if someone sends an invoice and it's 30 days, we put it out in that 30 days. If it's 30, we do 25 days. So then she'll put it on the spreadsheet for 25 days.
Okay.
So then like let's say next week, I know what we run our payroll every week, and we pay all our bills every week. So every Thursday she'll send me the spreadsheet, and so there'll be if the bill is not due, then we will push it out to the next week or next week, and that's how we're able to manage our through a spreadsheet. And then you manage it like, okay, this is how much is going out, this is how much is coming in, from my estimates, and this is how many sales we did this week. So I do all the sales. We don't have any other salesperson, but I do all the sales and estimating.
Find the deals and everything.
And so whether it's like finding a deal, doing my due diligence, underwriting it, and then, or if I'm estimating a project for a client, such as like rehab for a whole house or whatever, I'll send them a proposal for that. But so it's based like we're gonna be doing X amount of sales. This is how many sales we closed. Contracts got signed. This is how many deposits we'll collect. This is how much projects. This is how much work we got completed this week because we do draws for every project. So whether it's our own project, we'll get a draw from the hard money lender, or we'll have a reserve if we, if it was funded completely up front, we'll have the reserve in that different account to pull over. So
where did you learn that? Did you just trial and error over the years?
That was trial and error. I mean, I think it's important to we have multiple accounts in it with our bank, right? So you have an escrow account, you have all these different things, and it's I'm not perfect at my accounting and how I manage the cash flow, but I'd like to get better, and so I can be like, it's like if you're living on like thin cash flow, it's more stressful. But again, I think it also depends on what your situation is. If you're married and have kids, you don't want to leave your family high and dry, or like for me, it's a little bit different. I take a lot more riskier. I do a lot more riskier stuff
because you can.
I can. I don't have to. I don't have a family to worry about. I don't have kids. I can always move back in with my parents. I'm 23, right? So like
girlfriend, fiance,
no girlfriend, no
really?
fiance.
Okay.
So it's just me.
You're going.
So like, if I fail, the only thing that's going to impact is me. Well, also the people on my team, obviously, because we do have employees. And ultimately, I don't want to leave them hanging. But there's also lots of other opportunities out there, and there's always people looking for individuals that can do renovate and restore properties.
Right.
So. But it's like I'm completely okay with failure. When it happens, how will I respond is my question.
Yeah.
It's like, how will you respond? Will you become depressed? Obviously I have the Lord and I can lean on Him for that.
Absolutely.
But like, it's like still, the question is how will you, like, it really matters on how you respond in that situation. It's like, if you're okay with it, it's like, okay, now you're okay with it, but how are you going to respond if that happens, if X, Y, and Z happens?
Yeah. And it's okay to feel a little bad when it happens. I mean, initially when you fail at something, it's like, oh man, this stinks.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel good to go through it. But when you have the mindset, this is good.
Yeah.
And I forget what video, I watched a YouTube video, maybe you've seen it, but he was talking about when failure happens to think good. Like if you could say the word good when you fail, you're like halfway there.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine your processes you were just talking about were developed over failures after failures. Yeah. And now you have a process built in that's almost failure proof. Yeah. It gets
when I first got started, like I didn't have we didn't have much expenses either, right? Yeah. So there was very minimal cost going out when I first got started. Sure. And so but after a while you realize you have, a lot of costs going out, and you got to start managing it somehow, because you can't manage every transaction anymore. It's like, if you're not the only one spending money on your account, you gotta figure out how you can manage it all.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's hard to learn that side of the business. Yeah, the financial management. Yeah. You can go on YouTube and you can find sales and marketing and AI and all this like really cool, fun part of the business. But when you're talking about managing money, I mean, that's why you go into business, because you want to make money, you want to provide for your family, provide opportunities, but there's not a lot of resources that teaches you how to manage your funds and how to be able to allocate certain funds to different, like taxes. Yeah. I'm thankful we landed on, I don't know if you heard of Profit First. Yeah. So we do the Profit First system, the book that Mike Michalowicz wrote. And so it helps you allocate an operations account, a tax account, a profit account, an owner's pay account, and you can create more accounts based on what your business is. So for us, we have a project account, and we also have supplier accounts as well. And so it just helps us with every dollar that comes in, it has somewhere to go. Yeah. And that's been helping us a lot over the past few years. Yeah. And whatnot. So
I heard of Profit First. I've read the book, but I've not really implemented a whole lot of theirs. I mean, I'd say for us, we're in real estate, so it's a little bit different. Yeah. And with rental properties and real estate, you have to have escrow and stuff like that. So there's different accounts, but you can basically start any account you want and name it whatever you want, and to help manage your funds.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about faith a few times and how the Lord just helps you move forward and move past those failures. Yeah. What does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis? Yeah. Running your business.
So for me, I believe in the Holy Spirit. I believe in Jesus, and like, is like talking to him. And I feel like he gives me, the thoughts, he puts them in my mind. Like my thoughts are not like always mine. He instills those thoughts. So like managing whatever, like he might give me this idea of doing this or that. So I think it's important to have a relationship with Jesus. So first and foremost is like having a relationship with Jesus is important. And, you know, it's like, how did I didn't believe in, I was religious. So, you know, grew up Amish, but I hated everything to do about church. I didn't know. I read Bible stories, but really end of the day, like, when I was growing up, I imagined like the Bible, Jesus, all the stories, kind of like a Bearstein Bears book. Like it's a mystery, you know? But then actually when I got saved, it's like, you know, you can have a relationship with the Lord. He speaks to you. And so, you know, like he wants, like, ask, and then he will speak.
Yeah.
So like for me, if I'm, you know, a tough time, even just like, you know, talking to him, some people be like, well, that's funny. You just talk to nobody. It's like, no, you know, it's like having a conversation. Even though he knows your thoughts and knows what's on your mind, but if you just say it, it also kind of goes law of attraction. You know, if you say something, it like speaks it into existence. So, but I think faith is really important if I wouldn't have my faith, I think I would have probably gave up a while ago because it's running a business is tough.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's rewarding. You can become prideful. You can, if you allow, because you can become successful and then prideful. And then there's many other things that can, you know, creep in and basically destroy you as a person.
Right.
Money is good. That's how we acquire more assets, but it can also ruin. It can ruin your life. So you can drugs, pornography, sex, you know, all these things you can be, you know, spending your money on that stuff, and before you know it, you're blowing. You don't have any cash management either. You're buying all these cars and planes and this and that, and you know, trying to make it look good on the outside, but that's not really, you know, it's not the way to success.
No, I've heard it said that nothing fails like success.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get complacent in succeeding and you stop trying and you stop moving forward. And then you stop, like you mentioned, pride.
Yeah.
You stop being humble and recognizing that, hey, this was God's success. He's the one that did this through me or through my company.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when pride sets in, that's when, you know, you're more prone to failure, or you're more prone to temptations and whatnot. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know how people do it without having the Lord in their business.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be challenging. You know, I don't think I'd want to do it really.
Yeah,
and you know, everyone has a decision to make if they want to follow the Lord or you know, believe and have a relationship with Him. It's like they have a decision to make. They, you know, if they don't want to incorporate Him, then that's on them. But at the end of the day, like I don't say this just to be like but I couldn't do it without the Lord. Like, you know, people say that, but like truly I could not. I would have gave up a while ago.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't have purpose, wouldn't have, you know, through Him, I find, you know, He wants us to have purpose. He wants us to have a mission, a goal in life, you know, and it's to better His kingdom. So, you know, like for me, like how is transforming a Harrisburg or Holmes benefiting the kingdom? Well, you know, I always look at it this way: as like, you know, Revelations, we are creating, like, we're bringing heaven to earth. Like whether that's transforming a house, like you're making it new, nice, and people want to live there. They can have a family there. They can prosper there if they choose to. But that's like, if you do that throughout the whole city, before you know it, you have the whole city is restored, and you're bringing a piece of heaven to earth by transforming homes. Yeah. You know, then we can pave the streets again, put new lights out. Yeah. You know, like the city, and you can come in and paint lines and parking spots for everybody, and the curbs, and so like bringing a small piece of heaven to earth. Maybe even someday we'll have to pave a street with gold.
I love that.
That's always a thought of mine. It's like, what if we just pave a street with gold sometime, just to like, you know, just to like, because it says that, right? You know? But it's like, but and people are like, well, you could use that money for everything else, whatever.
I love that, man. I love
That's just
that.
always that's been a thought of mine because Revelations, it says that the streets will be paved with gold, right? And so, and there's many different, Revelations is wild, and there's everyone has a different thought about how the end times is going to be and all this, right? And how the new heaven and new earth, and
Right.
So it's like you can explore, your imagination. What do you think? So everyone has a different idea on Revelations. So.
Yeah. Well, my perspective is you are the most like God when you're creating.
Yeah.
When you're creating something beautiful.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we are created in God's image. And if we're created like God, God is the creator.
Yeah.
He is the one that created everything we're looking at.
Yeah.
So all the beauty in the world that ever was and that is today came from God.
Yeah.
And so when you're putting your hands to work and you're creating, you're being like him.
Yeah.
You're working in his image.
Yeah.
And that good that's in you to restore cities and to take what was bad or maybe run down or distressed and turn into something beautiful.
Yeah.
That is what God does.
Yeah.
He does that in us.
Yeah.
And now you're doing that in properties and you're bettering people's lives.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's probably fulfilling for you to walk or drive through streets and you're like, man, I worked on that one.
Yeah.
That was my house I did.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the sad thing is, though, sometimes you see people, they don't appreciate it's kind of a generational thing. People, and not just, it's like in Harrisburg, people don't really appreciate, or they lived in a dump or lived in a house that was they shouldn't have been living in. Like how can you even breathe in that smell and those things, but they lived like that for decades and generations, so they're used to it.
Right.
And so you put them in this new house, and in 6 months later, they never cleaned the house one time. They never swept the floor once, and they basically trash it again. It's but the exterior is nice, but inside, some people do steward it well, but some people just don't steward it like they should. And I think it's now we got to educate people on how to how can we break generational, because you got to steward what the Lord has given you. Whether it's the small, if you steward the small, he'll give you more, right?
That's true.
So I think people should steward what their homes they're in, is how can you clean it every week, sweep the floor. Some people don't do that, but that should be just normal. And so it's frustrating to see that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's now we need to educate people on how to steward their property or their things.
For sure.
So
yeah. I love your mission, with Harrisburg. Where did that first start? Because I know you could have gone into business and just said, hey, we're going to flip homes and we're going to go into construction and, do projects, kitchen projects, bathroom projects. Where did that mission come from?
So, like I said, when I came back from YWAM and I started Equitable, and when I got back from YWAM, I never really explored Harrisburg. So I got back. I was working 4 days a week, and every Wednesday I would have off all day, and I would go to Harrisburg and I would just drive around, and I would sit at Little Amps most times and then drive around, and I would explore the city and understand the streets, and I was every Wednesday. I did that for a whole summer, and people thought what, you're taking off every Wednesday? I did nothing Wednesdays, and people thought, what, you just take off and do nothing? How boring. I'm no, I get to explore. And through that, I kind of my heart grew for the city of Harrisburg. I seen it, I seen what it needs, and I seen Lancaster City, and I was and I knew I needed my mission was to in business somehow, it wasn't going overseas. It could be in the future. I'm not limiting that, but I in this time I was I knew it was in business. So when I started the business, I wanted something unique, and I didn't want to people name their business after their last name, and there's no, I'm not putting that down at all. It's good. You're creating a legacy, blah, blah, blah. All these things is good.
Right.
But I wanted something unique, something that I wanted a brand that's recognizable, and so Equitable, I was well, I want to be fair. I want to be just. but what word could I use? So I was like, okay, equitable means fair and just. So
Nice.
and then I was like, well, build. So equitable builds. I was like, well, I want to do things I want to do things right and with quality. And so build came from my favorite show, the Build Show with Matt Reisinger
Okay.
from Texas. He does amazing like renovations and custom homes. They use like the high end products and does it right. And so like I was watching him and I was like, so he has the Build Show. If you go on YouTube and Google the Build Show, that's why I named Equitable Builds, because the Build Show.
I love it.
So, and then, from that, I wanted something simple. And I think it's important when you start with a brand, like you want to be simple, but also bold and catch people's attention. So like, and you want to also be like, people remember because they've seen the circle, right? So like, yours is circle too. It's simple.
Yeah.
But it's like if people see a circle somewhere, it's yellow, they assume it might be equitable, whether it's from my shirt from a distance, people are like, oh, is that what do you do? And so, but yeah, so that's like, I don't know where we're going with the question, but you have to build a brand that's, recognizable as well.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And I love your brand, by the way. I love the colors,
Thank
proudly
you.
serving with integrity.
Thank you.
And that's so big in your market.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When
For
people
sure.
hire you to do their flips or do their home renovations, working with integrity, because there's kind of this mantra in the construction world that, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And you don't know what corners are cutting underneath the walls or behind the walls.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
So you came out of the gate just wanting to, put out a face of integrity in your work and who you are.
Yeah. And provide a better service and try to serve people with excellence, not just like, half-ass in a way. Like I want to serve them well and like with the best that I can. Like, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect and I can't but I'll learn and like, hey, can you do this better and this better? And I'm like, well, sure. We'll definitely take any feedback that you have for us so we can serve you better, serve our clients better,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And just saying that, is huge because there's a lot of contractors that won't even be open to that.
Yeah.
And won't even, ask for feedback or, hey, what could I do better?
Yeah.
You're a well communicator.
Yeah. And
construction kind of has that reputation of not communicating well. You don't know when they're going to show up. You're going past deadlines that were promised to you. So there's a lot of that. But you come in and you're a great communicator. You lay out the plan.
Yeah. But for running a business, everyone thinks, well, if construction business, they're like, oh, it's simple. I've been doing construction for 20 years, or let's say 5 years, and I want to go start my own business now. But when you run a business, it's a whole different story. You're not just performing the work, especially if you're a self-employed or a sole person running a business and doing all the work and doing all the sales.
Right.
Like that's where you're going to be. Like you can't deliver with excellence all the time because some people don't understand. You have to communicate. You have to communicate well. It doesn't matter if it's basic. You have to communicate, take pictures, provide value. And pick out the materials, selections, and things like that. Are you going to use cheaper stuff or more expensive? So nowadays people just like, oh, we're blue collar workers. They're just like, we're just going to work our butts off, and it doesn't matter how well we communicate as long as we do, as long as we get the job done eventually. That's not how I want to operate.
Absolutely.
It's like almost a management side of construction. So you have to manage it well.
Right.
It comes down to like your finances, your project management, everything. It's like, and I've done project management well when I first got started because I grew up Amish and I wanted to work hard. I wanted to just get it done. Like, enough with this BS, like behind the scenes stuff. Like, why do I need to do this? Just get the work done. That's it. Right.
Right.
So, but now that I've been running a business, I feel like it's more like for me, it's important every day that I spend in the office managing and providing the clients with feedback and updates and daily logs and pictures and stuff like that our team sends back to us. So we, so everyone's communicated to, and, provide our team with the proper documentation and make sure that they know what's going on from the proposal that we provide the client and things like that there. So
sure. Yeah. Even delivering bad news.
Yeah.
I know sometimes in business when you're late or you can't deliver on time, or even if you mess something up, it's so tempting to just try and sweep it under the rug or not say anything or trying to fluff it up as a good thing.
Yeah.
But what I found is just when you just say it and you're honest with your customer, say, hey, listen, I apologize.
Yeah.
And this is what happened. Here's what we're going to do. They actually appreciate it.
They do. And I've seen that. If people are like so scared, if I mess up and I tell them, they're going to be so pissed off. But no, if you're like, hey, look, this is what happened. And you tell them right away and they're like, you told me. Wow. They're like surprised that you bring that up. It's like, cause some people would just sweep under a rug and be like, and then 2 weeks later, they're like, wait, what's going on? What, you didn't tell us?
Yeah.
What? They're freaking out. And so that's not providing excellent service.
Yeah.
Or communication or whatever. And I will say, like, communication is something I've failed at in the beginning stages of my business.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I sucked at communicating. And I'm still not amazing at it, but I'm working on that every day. You know? It's like, how can I communicate better? And, if you're a business owner, you're probably you might text 50 people in one day, or you might send out 100 emails in one day talking about different things, or you might, your communicate or your DMs and all these, right? So you don't even remember who you all communicated with. And like, it's crazy. Cause like, you're probably the same way. You're like, you got a big team of people and you're communicating to all these people and you want to communicate well and you want to respond in a timely manner because, no one should go unnoticed or, unread. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of how it is for me. Sometimes I feel bad if I don't respond to people, but then just like, I can only do so much.
I know. Yeah.
And
it's tough because there's so many platforms now.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we have Slack. We use, I have Messenger, we have Facebook Messenger, and then you have all kinds of different messaging channels within your business. And then you have your customers and then you have your vendors. And by the end of it, I've counted before between emails and texts and everything else, almost 100 in a day. Just outgoing or incoming conversations. It's hard to remember all of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I usually don't count daily, but I do. Like, you can look back on like your logs, and like for me, 1 week I had like 700 text messages. Just for 1 week.
Wow.
So that's but like that's just text messages. So like, but some people don't understand how busy entrepreneurs are.
Yeah.
But again, we put ourselves out there to do this, and we have to be okay with that busyness, but also try to respect other people's time and try to be on time. And if you can manage your schedule well, then like I think it's very important for people to use Google Calendar. So simple. Not maybe more people do it now, but like 3 years ago, people didn't use it as much.
Yeah, it wasn't common.
It's so easy to use, and it organizes your day, and it's like you won't be late for anything. You shouldn't be, if you're doing that. So
what other tools do you use to help manage your time and schedule and tasks? Do you have any tricks up your sleeve or any tools that you use?
So we use Apple Notes a lot, which is like, people are like, that's silly. Yeah. But if everyone on your team has an iPhone, it is amazing. You can collaborate with everybody and they can edit the notes. You can see who edited everything. It's like, but you have to be, some people don't understand how to use Apple Notes. Some people don't understand how to use Google Calendar or like all these different tools that are out there that, are simple, but yet complicated to use internally. You gotta navigate that, and you make arrows here and there, but then you get better at it. So I would say, like, for us, it's Notes. Apple Notes are a game changer for us. Because the way you can add photos into it and everyone can see it if they all have an iPhone, but if everyone on your team has an iPhone, it works great.
Yeah.
But if not, then you have to, figure out another CRM or other things to like. But I feel like for us, if it's like our teams on certain projects, they use Apple Notes. And so everyone can see that if this like, hey, this needs to happen, and I can see it, it's updated. Then we also use our JobTread, which is our sales estimating platform and invoicing platform. And then also our client communications are on there. But then they can also text us and email us. But it's like a daily log, and they can respond in a comment, and like you can see like everything. All you gotta go is back to like the time. Like I said, this happened this day, and it's recorded, and the client can easily upload any photos they want, and I can see it. Everyone can see it. It's using that platform or Google Calendar. That is a game changer. More people should use it.
Yeah, just simple. It's free.
It keeps your life in order.
Yeah.
Like people are like, I have friends where like, even if you're just hanging out with friends, Google Calendar, because now it's on your schedule and it's on their schedule. They can't miss it.
Right.
I can't miss it. And people are like, well, you're sending me, that sounds too like professional or business mind. No, it's just, now I'm not going to forget. You're a priority. I'm making everybody a priority. Whoever's on my calendar is a priority.
Yeah.
So, and it should make you feel special or honored, because now I'm going to be on time, and you should be on time because it's on your calendar.
Right.
So,
yeah. And you can set reminders and alerts. Yeah. And it's a free tool.
And it's
Why
free.
not use it?
It's free.
Yeah.
So,
It's amazing how many tools are out there now that don't cost anything that we can take advantage of. And
what tools would you say, have benefited your company a lot? Because like
I'm glad you asked. We just developed our own refresh productivity tracker. It's a daily to-do list, and it has some other metrics in there.
Yeah.
It's on paper, and I know it's old school. I use a lot of technology. We're a technology business, but I'm going to give you one before you go.
Perfect.
And for those of you guys watching, we're going to have a link down below. You could also download it as well. But I'll show you that. But I use, for me, obviously, Google Calendar. Our whole company's on it. We probably have like 18 different calendars within our company. It's probably way too much. But for me personally, I use Trello. And I use my Dropbox and Google Drive.
Yeah.
Anything that is remote and is cloud-based, because we travel a lot. I know you're on the move a lot.
Yeah.
And so anything that I can pull up on my phone or iPad.
Game changer.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't have to be tied to a desk or any one place. I need everything to be in the cloud. So we have 1 or 2 renegades on our team that are Android users.
Yeah. They got to go. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Courtney.
It's always tough with those Android users. Then it's green bubble too, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like the worst.
It's like your perception of that person just
it changes.
Goes down 1 or 2 notches
a little bit. You know, they're still good people, but it's like they're just not.
We
very
love you, but get on the team.
I won't say anymore.
Yeah,
because that's not nice. Sorry.
Yeah. So Ezra, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I know that's far out, but you're 23 now, so you'll be 33.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself, and what do you want to accomplish by then?
Hopefully by that time we'll have, like, Harrisburg will be a thriving community.
Yeah.
There'll be entertainment. There'll be good entertainment for kids, young adults, not just bars and pubs and things like that, but there'll be, lots of entertainment. It'll look beautiful. People are going to want to live in the city. They're going to want to, like, spend time in the city. So I'm hoping in 5-8 years, that comes out and that happens. And I can't share everything on my 10-year plan, but hopefully by 33, I can be semi-retired, but I still want to work. My goal is to, like, okay, I don't have to go to work unless I love what I do and I want to go to work. Yeah. But I want to be able to say I'm semi-retired. And so whether that's, have 100 units or 200 or 500 or 1,000, and really I don't have a number of units that are, like, set. I just want to continue to acquire properties and transform them and sell them to people or rent them out to people. So yeah, it varies on, like, what I want to do with the property. Maybe someone wants to buy it, and I want people to take home ownership and utilize the tool that has created wealth for me and for people that are millionaires and billionaires by acquiring real estate assets. And so, like, why would you rent? Even though I rent out apartments and stuff, but why would you rent? Why don't you buy a house? You spend $2,000 a month on rent, and my mortgage is $1,200. Taxes and insurance included, $1,200 bucks, and you're giving me $2,000. Why? Right. Well, it's easier. I mean, you're literally wasting money, and you're giving it to me, but you're not stewarding your money well. And so, like, people I hope, like, we can educate people to, like, take home ownership and buy homes or just one property. You don't need to buy a bunch, and figure out, don't overpay, and figure out how you can leverage that place to create generational wealth for your family. So, like, that is, everyone should learn how to do that, especially if you grew up in poverty. That is, like, you should do that. And people are like, well, and you have the AC breaks or the roof needs replaced, and that's $10,000. Well, save up money every year, and you have insurance for certain stuff, and If you buy a house, you can always buy a home warranty program for 5 years. Anything breaks, they'll cover it. It may be $100 a year or whatever, but there's all these things out there to help.
Right.
You know, well, then I got to pay taxes and all these things, right? And it's like, no, they're just trying to create an excuse.
Right.
So by 33, hopefully semi-retired and continue to grow my business.
Yeah.
So I want to like leave a legacy. So whether it's, a team of 10 people, 100 people, like I'm willing to take the risk to grow it to 100 people, 100 employees or whatever, or maybe 200. But it's like how much I don't want to overwork myself and overstress myself.
Sure.
And I want to allow myself to have daily experiences, like traveling or short travels, weekend experiences, and enjoy life. I think it's important to not be like, oh, I'm gonna try to make as much money as I can now so I can retire by 33. But if I die at 32, and then I don't get to experience any of the world or experiences.
Yeah.
So why not, in the meantime, manage it well and do budget-friendly trips, this and that, hang out with friends, spend time with people you love,
Right.
and do things you love, and try new things, and figure out what you really want to do in life, and like experiences. I bought a motorcycle. I love going fast, and
Nice.
and that brings me joy, and hanging out with friends, having campfires, and just spending time with people you love is honestly like that's when you really made it.
Yeah.
It's like, you made it. It's like you're spending time with people you love and you're doing things that you love with people that you love.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we're working.
yeah.
We spend time with our family and friends. And we can do what brings enjoyment and fulfillment to us.
Yeah. Not wait till you're retired and then start having fun. But you could lose 10 years of your time and not have those experiences. So
Yeah. And we can go down the mindset part, but that's totally a mindset shift. From waiting till you're retired to go explore the world to, well, why can't we do it now?
Yeah, and you can do it on a budget friendly. You don't have to. You don't have to spend. Get the best suite or drive the best car or drive or have the best clothes or the best brand of clothes and all these things. Right? You can be like, okay, I'm gonna get a budget. I'm gonna like compromise here and not spend as much on a Airbnb, and I'm not gonna eat out as much, or I'm gonna eat good food, but at a good price. Not like go to a restaurant and spend $100 on drinks and a small meal just for yourself. But if you're a family of a couple people, you could easily spend $500 at a nice restaurant with drinks and food. Yeah. And if you do that every day, you're wasting your money.
Absolutely.
Even if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, I mean, if you don't care, then it's okay. But if you're trying to, depending on it really depends on what you want to achieve in life.
Absolutely. But you know what I love about your answer? In 10 years, I didn't hear you say, well, I want to have 18 cars. I want to own 6 vacation properties at these beaches or these resorts or anything. Your answer was so community focused and people building that it really just shares volumes about who you are as a business. And as a person, and I have no doubt that your company in 10 years. I mean, I'm excited to watch where it goes. Yeah. You are going to succeed and you do some incredible things with your business. And I look forward to watching this video in 10 years and being like, man, we got to talk with him. That's incredible.
That'll be, and that's like having this all archived, every podcast that you've done or even that I've been on is like, you get to go back and listen to like you 10 years ago and you're like, oh my gosh, that actually happened, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh. So
absolutely.
And it's like, I do want a nice car. I do want this and that, but it's like, that's not really the reason I'm doing it all. And that's not why you should be doing it. It's like, at the end of the day, when you die, that's nothing, It's
Can't
like,
take it with you.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you need money. Yes, you want to leave a legacy. Yes, you need resources to go through life, and if you want to experience different experiences, you need certain resources, and so money is very important and a key to living life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you found a mission to your business and really to your life. I mean, you've attached your business and your personal aspirations together and have really just bring an impact with what you're doing. Because for me, money's not enough. If you're just working for money and for things, I mean, it loses its spark at some point.
Yeah.
You know, but when you attach a driven mission which I believe yours is God sent.
Yeah.
God planted that in you.
Yeah, he did.
And it's gonna happen. I mean, what you said is just scratching the surface of what I believe God's gonna do through you and your business. And I'm really excited to watch that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Well, I've valued having you on here. I'm really excited that you took time to come out and spend some time with us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here and see your new facility and honestly just spend time with you, because I mean, you're like, when I first met you, I just want to share a quick story. When I first met Josh, was at a real estate event, and he sat next to me, and I was like, he introduced himself, gave me his card, and I'd never heard of the business Refresh before, and I didn't ask him any questions. I don't know why not, but we were at a networking event, which I don't know why I didn't ask you many questions. And we were talking about real estate though.
Right.
But the first thing I noticed about Josh was like how humble he was. You were very humble. Then I looked you up afterwards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Josh, he owns Refresh LED. I'm like, that is crazy, and just to see, like, the first thing I sensed from him that he had a relationship with the Lord. Like, I knew that, and he never even said that,
that.
So that's like, that speaks volume of who you are and what character you have, So I think, even for you to be 40 years old and what you have built, I can't see it all here, but because you have multiple facilities and you serve people all across the world with what you do. And so I think that, that is, I'm inspired by what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Well, all glory to God.
Yeah.
He's worked through us, and we launched Refresh in 2019, and really, we just gave it to the Lord. I mean, our scripture verse is, "He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed," out of Proverbs 11:25. And we just launched this business saying, God, this is literally your business.
Yeah.
You are the owner of this business.
Yeah.
We are just your hands and feet, and you have to lead us. And the book we have there on the shelf, Business Not by the Book, really talks about God being the owner of your business. You mentioned the Holy Spirit that leads you and guides you. And so at the end of the day, I can't take any credit.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
When we talked about failure, we're constantly at these crossroads of decisions and where do I go? This is a whole new landscape. But when you have God in the mix, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And he will, if you're faithful, he'll work through you, and he'll blow your wildest dreams out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll end with that. And how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me on IG or Facebook at Ezra Smucker, or you can, find me there.
Yeah.
My phone number's on there, and get in touch with me there.
Amazing. All right, brother. Thank you, man.
You got
Thanks
it.
for being on.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.